Well, hello there. Are you looking for that government jumping into the cruise business news? I got that for you. Normally, I don't really like the government jumping into any of the businesses that I'm interested in, but maybe in this case, it's a good thing. In today's episode of the Lido Loca Cruise Show, let's talk about new legislation that was just proposed that would have the government smack dab in the middle of the cruise business. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Tony. If you enjoy that cruise and travel content, please consider subscribing with the notification bell on. Well, normally people are of two schools of thought. They either like government intervention to keep things on the straight and narrow, or they don't like it at all. It's a philosophical thing. It's a philosophical thing about how you want to see your business run. And I'm one of those people that for the most part, for the most industries, I don't really like a lot of government intervention. Right now, when you think about the cruise business, the only government intervention we see is that CDC no-sell order, and most people don't like that thing. The CDC no-sell order set to expire in 13 days is the mechanism the government is using to keep cruising shut down in the United States. And I think most of us would be glad to see that thing expire and let these businesses work on this problem without the government intervention. But it hasn't expired yet. Now, sometimes I get to hear some back channel rumblings, and what I've heard is that there may be an announcement on the 21st from the CDC, and it may not be good. I don't know. That's unverified. That's just speculation. Take it with a grain of salt. I hope that I am pleasantly disappointed that it's good news and not bad news. But now we got a whole new set of government intervention coming our way, and the cruise industry seems kind of stoked about it. Let me tell you what's happened. Yesterday, Florida Senators Rick Scott and Marco Rubio proposed a bill that would provide government oversight for the cruise business. Why would these senators be recommending this? Well, there is that debate out there that the cruise lines are not American companies, and therefore we shouldn't really care about it from a United States perspective. But what gets lost a lot in that discussion is the fact that there are tens of thousands U.S. jobs, American jobs, affected by the cruising industry. And so if you just ignore them and say they're not U.S. companies, we don't really care, you are effectively ignoring an American problem. You are effectively neglecting Americans who are impacted by the cruising shutdown. And that is no more true than in the state of Florida. And that's why you see these two Florida senators taking up the cause for cruising, because there are constituents in their state that are affected by the cruising shutdown, people on hard times because of the cruising shutdown, and it's affecting the people that have put them in office. And if you know anything about politics, you want the people that put you in office to be content and not discontent. What the bill would establish is the Maritime Task Force. The Maritime Task Force would be made up of governmental agencies and also a private sector advisory committee. The main goal of the task force would be to develop a plan for the safe resumption of cruising from the United States. The proposed governmental agencies that would take part in this task force would be leadership by the Department of Homeland Security, Customs and Border Protection, the U.S. Coast Guard, Health and Human Services, the Department of Transportation, the Department of State, and the Federal Maritime Commission. That's a boatload, a shipload of bureaucracy coming to the table to develop protocols to resume cruising. The Private Sector Advisory Committee would be made up, of course, of cruise lines, U.S. port officials, commercial fishermen, small businesses, and health professionals. Now, Senator Marco Rubio is really coming out as the champion of this, connected to the idea that cruising is super important for Florida. He has been tracking along with this since the beginning of the shutdown, and he believes that cruising should have a path to resume in the United States, and he feels like that this bill would provide that path in a more succinct way than anything else that has occurred since the cruising shutdown. Now, again, as somebody who doesn't necessarily like the government in my business, when I saw the headline here, I was like, oh, this is going to be more red tape. This is going to take a long time. I wasn't super excited about it. But there are a lot of people excited about it, and a lot of people on the cruise industry side, CLIA for one, excited about it. They think this this would be great. The Florida Ports Council excited about it. The Miami-Dade leaders excited about it. Local leaders in the state of Florida excited that there would be something in place that is focused on getting cruising to resume, other than just working with the CDC to see if they would remove the restriction for cruising. It's a tale of two government agencies. The CDC doesn't really have a reason to care about whether cruising resumes or not. It could be easier just to keep it shut down. That might be the most safe thing for the borders instead of doing the hard work of trying to have healthy protocols. At least this task force would be focused solely on getting cruising resumed. And I can see that's why these organizations would be in favor of it. And also they have a say because they could be on the task force. At least they're at the table. So it makes sense to me, but the big alarm for me is like, how long is this going to take? I mean, we are close to getting an announcement from the CDC, possibly cruises in November, December, January. I mean, that's what we're talking about. Everybody's like, cruising's going to resume in January. Well, if nothing happens in November, December, I think you got to put January into jeopardy too. Look, you need momentum to get this thing restarted. Again, it's not a light switch. You need the trickle. You need one drop. You need one ship going out in November, December, or you're not going to have any ships going out in January, because you're going to be in January just trying to get one ship out, or February just trying to get one ship out. If you want to get to the place where cruising can resume as an industry, you got to start. And so I worry about new legislation trying to make its way through the legislative process before anything happens. And you got to get these people the meetings, and it's a lot of bureaucracy. Now, I did do some research because I was concerned. You can get a bill passed pretty quick, or it can take a long time. There are some bills like the Patriot Act passed in 3 days. There are some minor bills that have passed in a day, but there are bills that took like 212 days to pass. It could happen quickly, as I assume, but if most of you guys are like me, when you think about government things happening, you don't think like speed. I don't know. But I'm watching this. I'm keeping an eye on it. I'm excited that the people in the cruise industry are excited about it. I am excited that there is some people in the United States government advocating for cruising, trying to find a path to cruising, doing it in the context of safety. All of this, you got to remember, everything is in the context of safety. When you talk about the return to cruising, that has to be in the context of safety. If at any point there is some inclination that you cannot resume to cruising in a safe way, you got to pull the plug on it. But I am hopeful that you can cruise during the current situation in a safe way in the cruise bubble. I'm seeing it play out in Europe. I believe that it can happen here in the United States. And again, at least I'm excited that we have a couple people that are advocating for cruising to happen. And you got to go through this process. The bill has to be introduced into committee. It's got to make its way to the House of Representatives and pass. Then it has to make its way to the Senate and pass. Then it has to be signed into law by the president. So there's a lot of steps to go through before this becomes a reality. And look, I hope it turns out to be a good thing, but I still contend that a lot of times when you get the government in to oversee things, that oversight can be a little oppressive. And so hopefully that's not the case with cruising. What do you think? Do you think the law that's being introduced will end up being good for cruising, or do you think it'll be bad for cruising? Will it speed up the return to cruising? Will it slow it down? I would love to hear your feedback. Thank you so much for watching the show today. Show your support by hitting the like button. This is Tony with the Lido Loca Cruise Show. And until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido.